friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. So it has been so long since I have sat down and made a YouTube video, and I'm very excited to kind of get back into the swing of it. I figured for this week's video we would just do a cozy catch up since it has been quite a while and many things have changed. The biggest one being our new house and my many paint swatches on the wall. So I thought for this catch up we would talk about what we've been up to, how the move went. I thought I would show you guys around the house, kind of the main area of the house, and talk about some things that we're wanting to do. Clearly one of them being painting the walls, and also some sewing projects I'm hoping to make this year, some books that I have read and I'm looking forward to reading, and just general cozy things. So make yourself a cup of tea and let's catch up. So let's talk about my teacup first. This is a new to me mug from Rifle Paper Company. I love this print. This is their English rose print, and they're actually releasing a fabric collection pretty soon with this print as one of the fabrics, and I'm very excited. But this is very hot and it's still brewing, so I'm just going to set that down. So first, let's talk about the move. So it happened all very quickly. I believe in the last video I told you guys that we had put an offer in on the house but weren't really sure if we had purchased it yet. Well, obviously it all went through, and it went really quite quickly. It was like a matter of a month, and we had to pack up everything, move out of the house, get our rental house clean, and then move in here. So we have been here for almost 4 weeks and are settling in far quicker than I was expecting, which I'm very, very thankful for. We have everything unpacked, mostly in the place that it's going to be. There is some things we would like to replace down the road, but one thing at a time. So we're getting into some good rhythms, and I just feel like I have the mental space to actually start sitting down to film again. But that's kind of what we've been up to, just settling in, moving in the house. And I'm excited to show you guys more like the main parts of the house. I'll show you guys the living room, dining room, kitchen, and our bedroom, which is probably gonna be where we mostly stay. This house is a 1960s house. It has a finished basement, which is very cozy, but it's not really set up very well. So I will eventually show you guys in the basement. There's a fireplace down there, and it's very, very cozy. It's very 90s. This house was updated in the 90s. You can just tell with the green carpet and some of the other things that are in the house. But overall, it's a really beautiful house, and I'm excited to kind of make it our own. So that's kind of what we have been up to, and I thought I would share some of my favorite books with you guys that I have read and some books that I'm looking forward to. I kind of have gotten off of my reading streak. I was reading a ton, especially in 2024, but I read some really not great books at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, and it kind of broke my reading streak, but I have read a couple of good ones since then, and it's kind of gotten my momentum back. So per the usual, I did not think in advance, and I did not grab them yet. Let me grab them really quickly, and I'll show you guys the books that I have enjoyed that you guys might enjoy as well. So let me go grab those. All right, I've not read all of these books. Some of these are also the books that I am wanting to read or have started reading. So let me kind of separate these quickly, and then we will start talking about some books. So I have read 3 books so far this year that have been worth mentioning. Not many classics, just 1 classic so far, and then 2 kind of newer books. The first one is Rose and Bloom by Louisa May Alcott, and this is the prequel to, or the sequel, I'm sorry, to, I believe, 8 Cousins, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I loved it so much. I want to eventually actually find a actual vintage copy of this, but for now, this kind of like reprint is still really beautiful. So I love this book. I really do enjoy Louisa May Alcott's writing, and I've been trying to read through all of her books. So I have another Louisa May Alcott book that I want to read in the upcoming months. So I'm excited to read it. But this was just a joy to read. So simple to read. I am excited to read this out loud to my Rose when she gets a little bit bigger. So enjoyed this one. The other one I do not have a physical copy of because it was a book that my sister let me borrow. And it is called Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft. I'll put a picture of it over here. And this book I loved, but I feel like it's only a good story if you grew up with the Tinkerbell movies. So Disney released in, I think, probably the early 2000s, some Tinkerbell movies. There's, I think, 5 or 6, maybe 7 of them, and we loved them growing up as a kid. Well, there was one of them called Secret of the Wings, and it mentioned a love story between a winter fairy and a summer fairy, but they never tell you their love story. So this book is supposed to be their love story, and it just kind of filled a hole in my heart that I didn't know was there. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I sobbed at the end of it just because it brought to life a story I was always curious about when I was younger. So very much enjoyed that book. A really easy read, definitely not classic material, but it was still very, very enjoyable to read it and just kind of fill something in my soul that I didn't know needed filled. So then the last book that I read, this entire series is fantastic and I cannot recommend it enough, but it was Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands by Heather Fawcett. This whole series is so good. So the first book in the series is Encyclopedia of Fairies, and then her third one, the Compendium of Lost Tales, just released, which is in my pile of books to read. This book is just fantastic. It's supposed to be her diary of her going through and learning about the Fae, and there's a little bit of romance, a little bit of action. I don't know, just so good. I loved this so much. This was recommended by a Instagram friend. Her name is Mary, but her Instagram handle is Dear Feely. Her book recommendations are amazing, and this did not disappoint. So Mary, if you're watching this, you rock, because this was so good. So a couple of books that I am looking forward to reading. Compendium of Lost Tales. I've already started this. I'm only 2 chapters in, and I'm using this darling Rifle Paper Company bookmark. I got this with a recent order. If you ordered so much, you got a free bookmark, and I think it's so cute. Already thoroughly enjoying this. I also think this is just so pretty. I love the cover. So this is one that I am reading currently. A couple more that I have on my list is Good Wives by Louisa May Alcott. Another classic is Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. I have seen the TV show of this, but I've never read the book, so I'm very excited to read that. I have A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I'm very excited to read this. I do not know this story at all. We did not grow up reading classics as a kid, so it's very fun to get to read these for the first time. So I'm excited to read this. I also just love the cover. I believe this art is by Tasha Tudor. Yes, it is, and I really love her style of drawing. And can you see my pink here? We'll get into that here in just a second. Another one is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and this, I believe, is one of Rifle Paper Company's first books that they ever released. I got this on Poshmark, and I've never read Alice in Wonderland, so excited to read this one. I have a lot of classics that I'm wanting to read. And then this one I just saw as a suggestion on Instagram as well. This is called Mandy by Julie Andrews, actually, but her name is Julie Edwards when she wrote this. And I just am kind of excited. I want to read this out loud to Rosie because it's kind of like a kid's chapter book. I know nothing about this. I've just heard that a lot of people say this book is really what got them into reading. So I think this will be a fun one to read out loud with Rosie, maybe come this spring. It just looks like a springy book. I don't know if it actually is, but I don't know. It just looks really, really sweet. So that's kind of my books that I am looking forward to reading. So let me put all of these away, and then I will start doing a little house tour, and then I'll show you guys some sewing projects that I'm excited about. So I will be right back. Let me put these away, and I'll show you guys the room and then talk to you guys a bit about what we're wanting to do in each room. I've never had to do a home tour before, so we'll see how this goes. But first things first, here is the living room. We'll kind of give you an overview of what it looks like. We have everything set up in here fairly well, I think. We have this beautiful mantle that we got from Facebook Marketplace with this faux fireplace in it, and I think it is just so beautiful. It's real wood. Someone painted it white. It does need a little bit of TLC, but I just think it really centers the room so much. And then I have my beautiful bookcase over here, front and center, of course. I did have to switch the mirror that I had on top of the bookcase because these ceilings are quite a bit shorter than the ones from our previous house. So that mirror I think works well up there. And then one thing I do want to show you guys real quick is our front door. We get beautiful light in here, but it has this stunning cast iron rose and vine work on it. And the light that it casts on our ground is just beautiful. I cannot wait until it gets warmer outside and I can leave this door open a little bit more, but I just think it's so pretty. So let's talk a bit about what we want to do to this room. So as you can see on the walls here, we are going to paint it pink and I'm very excited. We are leaning toward this color and this color. It's one of these two, not entirely sure which color yet. But Caleb and I wanted to do something a little bit different in this room, and pink I feel like goes with a lot of the decorations that we already have. So I'm very excited. The only other things we really wanted to do this room, the big one, is get rid of the green carpet. We are led to believe that there's hardwood floor underneath this carpet, so if that's the case, we will refinish the floors and then get a big floral rug. I have an eye on a Rifle Paper Company one that I have wanted since they released it. I believe it's called the Rosa rug. I will put a picture over here of the rug, but that's what we would get for the middle of this room. And the only other thing we really want to do is to get a frame TV and mount it on the wall and put a frame on the frame TV. I may end up hanging a couple things around it to make it look like a gallery wall. Unsure yet, but that is kind of the overall plan for this room. Eventually we will get some new couches and such to fit the room a little bit better, but for now this couch works just fine. So that's kind of the living room. Let's go on to the dining room. So next up is the dining room, and it's quite a bit smaller than our other dining room, but I still feel like it's pretty cozy. Let's talk about the centerpiece of the dining room, which is this beautiful brass chandelier. I love this so much. I'm not gonna lie, it's one of the first things that really drew me to this house, but there's not much to really show you guys in here. We have our table, I have my record player over here, and that's pretty much it. I do have a closet over here which has all of my sewing things in it, and then this is our shoe closet, and then this leads into the kitchen, which I will show you guys next. So let's talk a bit about what we want to do in this room. So as far as the dining room goes, we don't have much that we want to do. It will probably end up staying this lighter color because there is not much lighting in this dining room, especially compared to our dining room in the previous house. I do want to do like a little gallery wall over here. That painting is just there because there was a hook there and I didn't want to see the hook, so I put a painting over it. And then I do want to get some new curtains. The curtains that are currently in this room are very dark, and I feel like if I get something lighter, it'll kind of help lighten up the space a little bit. I am also going to hang up my gold oval mirror back here and then potentially get a rug, but other than that, the dining room is pretty much how it's going to be. Like I said, there's not very much we can do in here. I am planning on sewing in here mostly. I don't have a sewing station set up yet in this house, and I'm not really sure where I would want to have one. So that's the dining room. Now let's move on to the kitchen. So from the dining room, we look into the kitchen. I'm sorry it's so dark right now, but one of the things I really loved about this kitchen was actually this half wall. I love that it separates the rooms, as this is the kitchen but is open to where I can see the dining room and the living room. I really love that. Also, you might hear some voices in the back because Rosie has a friend over and they are currently playing in her room. But we have this little corner over here that I'm unsure what to do with right now, and this lovely 90s wallpaper. This isn't horrible, but eventually I will want to get rid of this because it's not quite my style. We have some cabinets over here. We have some lovely lighting. I love the lighting in this kitchen. And then I have a lot more counter space than I did at the old house. I also really love the cabinets in this house. I think they're really stunning. And along with that, I also really love the hardware actually. Whoever lived here before had impeccable taste. And one other thing to note before I tell you guys some things we want to change is actually the ceiling fan. First of all, genius to have a ceiling fan in a kitchen, but look at how ornate the ceiling fan is. I have never seen a ceiling fan so beautiful, and I think it's just stunning. So let me flip you guys around and we'll talk a bit about what we want to do to this kitchen eventually. So I feel like the kitchen looks really good as is, but down the road, a couple of things that I would really like to do is, number one, remove the wallpaper and paint the walls green. I would like to paint them the same color green that we had our living room painted in the old house. I just really love that green, and I love green in kitchens in particular. So that's number one. The second thing is some projects that I want to make for this room. I want to make some curtains for the window as well as for the space that will be open when we remove the dishwasher. I'm hoping to put churros food and water actually underneath there with a little curtain. I think that'll make it look really cozy. And then back here, so as you can see, it's just plain drywall. I want to put wallpaper. So I picked up a roll of this Rose Rifle Paper Company wallpaper. Originally I wanted to do the whole room in this, but I do not trust myself to put wallpaper up in a room with so many nooks and crannies when I've never wallpapered before. So I figured this would be a good start in my wallpapering journey, but I think it would just look really pretty with like a pop of a print with the green of the walls. So let me take you guys to the last room I'm going to show you, which is Caleb and I's bedroom. So the last room I'm going to show you guys is Caleb and I's room, which is nothing necessarily to write home about, but one thing I wanted to show you guys are these beautiful lattice windows. This was another thing I really loved about the house. Sorry, it's so dark. And the other thing I did want to show you guys is this beautiful wardrobe that my parents bought me for my birthday. I found this at a resale store and my mom and dad bought it for me, and it's just so stunning. Look at that. So beautiful. And I have some of my dresses hanging up in here and I love it so much. So honestly, there's not much that we want to do to this room. I want to get some new curtains, potentially paint the walls, and also get rid of this carpet eventually, but that's kind of low on the priority list for now. And the other cutest addition of the bedroom is this young gentleman who likes to snuggle on our bed. This is by far his favorite spot. Oh, he's a tired one. So there is the house, but to end this video, I thought I would share with you guys some sewing patterns that I'm looking forward to working on this year. I've kind of been collecting these over the past couple of months, and I'm just really excited to get to sewing again. So I have some vintage patterns. I have one home project pattern, and then I have one kind of like blouse pattern. So let's start off with the home project. So I want to make Rosie a canopy for her room, and I bought this pattern off of eBay. And I want to make either this version or this version to hang in the corner of her room. I have been putting this off because this takes 18 yards of fabric. So haven't quite decided what I'm going to use for the fabric for this. I thought about sheets because I think that will be the most cost-effective way of making this. But I think this should be really fun to make for Rosie. I haven't made much for Rosie, and I haven't really made many things for our house. So I think this will be a fun one to make. And then the one pattern that I have that is not a dress is this blouse pattern. This is by New Look, and this is 6719, and I just love the details on this pattern. I especially love this top. It has these little pin tucks and this button front with these kind of small puff sleeves. So I thought this would be a perfect easy to wear top for the spring and summer. I just bought this at a thrift store with a friend, so I think this will be a fun one to make. And it doesn't take very much fabric, which is always reassuring. I always forget that if you're not making dresses, clothes really don't take that much fabric. So now let's get into the vintage patterns. So this first one is actually a vintage reprint. This is McCall's 8430, and it is a reprint of a Laura Ashley pattern, and I really want to make a robe. I do not currently own a robe, and I really would like to have one. This also takes a lot of fabric, which is why I've been putting it off, but I just think this is so pretty. I also like the short one, which I may make first for the spring and summer months. And then this is a pattern that I found at a antique mall. This is Simplicity 9403, and I love this one. I feel like this will play true to a lot of dresses that I've been seeing online. It has this 3 elasticated waistband, and then this version has a bow in the front, which this is the one that I would like to make. But I've seen a lot of these dresses with this waistband with the 3 bands of elastic to kind of cinch in the waist, so I think this will be a fun one to make for the spring and summer, and it looks like just a really easy, simple dress to wear, so this one should be very fun. Another vintage pattern is this McCall's 5851, and this is a dress that I'm hoping to make for my next sewing project. This is so beautiful. It has this lace detailing in the center that you thread through with ribbon and it ties, and I just think that is so pretty. The skirt is also cut on the bias, so I'm having to be pretty particular on what fabric I'm going to use for it. But I think this will be a good one to have a transitional winter to spring dress, and I already have a fabric in mind of what I want to make for this dress. And then the last dress pattern that I have of the vintage ones, I have one more vintage pattern after this, is this Vogue Patterns R279. Now this is a vintage reprint pattern that my parents bought me from Etsy, but this is the dress, and I think this is so beautiful. I love the ties in the back and just the tiered skirt and the length of the dress in particular. I am loving maxi dresses, so I'm hoping I have enough fabric to make this dress with some fabric that I already own. I will show you guys the fabric here in just a second. I'm wanting to make that dress out of this vintage Laura Ashley fabric. I have had this for a little while now. I bought this on eBay for an incredibly good price, and I think there's 4 yards here, so I may be able to have enough to make the short version of that dress, but I just think that it will look really cute with the style. I'm not sure, but this is the only pattern that I have fabric for currently. And then the last pattern that I have is McCall's 3502, and it is this adorable little nightgown set. The reason that I bought this is because Hill House recently released some pajamas called the Josie set. I'll put a picture of it over here. And it's absolutely darling. It's like $128 though, and I couldn't quite justify spending that much on pajamas. So I thought that this pattern played really true to the pattern of the top that they have. And then I'll probably make shorts a little bit longer than the bloomers because those are just probably a little too short. And according to the pattern, the shorts will not fit me, but the shirt should. So this should be a fun one to make kind of like a Hill House dupe. And the fabric I'm wanting to make with this will be a Rifle Paper Company fabric that they will be releasing hopefully soon. So that is it for this cozy little catch up. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing the house, seeing some books I've been reading, what we've been up to, where we've been, some sewing projects that I'm really looking forward to working on in the next hopefully couple of weeks. I do actually have to buy a new sewing machine because mine completely died, and so that's a bit of a bummer, but hoping to order that in the next couple of days so it can come in and we can start making some sewing projects. So definitely let me know what you guys have been up to over the past couple months. I have missed talking with you guys so much. I love my comment section on my videos and all of you guys who follow me. Thank you guys for being here. And with all of that being said, I'm going to end the video here. If you guys did enjoy watching this, please leave a comment down below. I always love reading them. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.